It's been a while since I've done a video of this magnitude that you're seeing right here on your screen, where you have someone who is engaged in this type of activity. Now, it's not of any surprise to me or anyone that's watching this, except for maybe the people that want to live in the denial of everything. But who you see on your screen right now is a man by the name of Gregory Fraase, or Fraase, but I think it's Fraase, but I can't tell. I don't know if it's an accent behind it or not. And this guy is charged with operating 6 brothels. They call it houses of prostitution, but really it's a brothel. And he was running 6 of them. But when you find out who he was running this with, then it all starts to come together. I'm sure many of you have probably formulated of who was most likely involved in this with him. A Springfield man owned or rented 6 houses of prostitution in Springfield in which Asian women, there you go, some traveling from other countries, provided sexual services in exchange for free food, lodging, and incomes of up to $30,000 per month. Those were some of the allegations aimed at Gregory Fraase, or Fraase, age 60, in legal documents made public March 6 by Magistrate Judge Karen McNaught after a federal grand jury indicted him and Jia Liu, a Chinese female, on federal conspiracy charges. Fraase is quoted in a court transcript of a recorded call with a confidential witness August 23, 2023, that the potential of earning $30,000 in 1 month, mostly in tips, made young women from impoverished backgrounds all want to work in his establishments. They're making a lifetime's worth of money in a month, Fraase was quoted as saying. Fraase, who was released on his own recognizance after his arrest on February 8th, has pleaded not guilty and has declined comment through one of his attorneys, Daniel Fultz. Liu, whose age, address, and whereabouts were unavailable, allegedly operated the prostitution sites in cooperation with Fraase. She hasn't yet appeared in court. Fraase and Liu could face maximum prison terms of 5 years on the single conspiracy counts against each of them. Fraase could face an additional 5 years of 1 count of marriage fraud. The indictment says Fraase married Wei Hu of China and was paid at least $20,000 to do so. So as Fraase evaded U.S. immigration laws to help her gain American citizenship. The woman now lives in New York, according to court documents. After his arrest, Fraase told law enforcement officials that he is supposed to be paid another $20,000 once Wei Hu receives her green card from American immigration authorities. Oh, this, like I said, this guy had so many schemes going on to make money. He further acknowledged that she did not live with him, but claimed that he loved her, the criminal complaint stated. An initial pre-trial conference in the case was scheduled for June 20th in Springfield's U.S. District Court, with a tentative trial set for July 2nd. Officials from the office of Gregory Harris, U.S. Attorney General for the Central District of Illinois, didn't respond to a request for comment. The alleged scheme generated more than $800,000 for Fraase between July 2020 and February 2024. Now, we all know what was going on in 2020. And even during that time when he started operating this scheme. According to the grand jury indictment filed March 7th and an initial criminal complaint filed February 9th, Fraase, the brother of Republican Sangamon County Board member Harry Tom Fraase Jr., was arrested on February 8th by U.S. Marshals while he was driving to work at the Sangamon County Water Reclamation District. Gregory has worked for the district 22 years and currently earns $98,134 per year as a pre-treatment coordinator. So as you can see, he was making way more doing this, running these brothels, than he was making at his job. By the time he got to month 3, because remember it was $30,000, he was already $8,000 or almost $9,000 short or less than what he was making annually. By the time he got to month 4, he exceeded his annual salary. Fraase continues to be employed by the district, according to Executive Director Greg Humphrey, who told IT there's no indication any wrongdoing was done on district time or with district equipment. Now there comes the Operation Protect the White Boy. This guy is running a whole prostitution ring or brothels, and they still have him on a payroll at his job that he's making almost $100,000 a year in. So his money flow is not really stopping. It's unclear whether people will be charged as part of the investigation. FBI Special Agent William S. Henry V, who participated in the investigation, said in an affidavit filed in court that he is a part of a joint federal and local task force investigating violations of federal law committed by public officials in central Illinois. His statement doesn't mention or refer to any specific public officials. He said FBI agents in August 2022 began an investigation into Fraase based on allegations that Fraase and an unknown others were operating houses of prostitution fronting as Asian massage parlors in the Central District of Illinois. Henry quoted a confidential witness as saying Fraase operated multiple massage parlors and was able to get through the red tape of opening the establishments because of his business partners. The affidavit said that as of February 6, Amarin Records indicated Fraase was paying utilities at 6 Springfield locations under GLF Group LLC, for which Illinois Secretary of State records list him as a manager. All of them are labeled as alleged prostitution sites: Cozy Cabin Spa on 1144 East Sangamon Avenue, Jade Spa at 1560 Wabash Avenue, Capital Spa 3915 North Dirksen Parkway, Warm Spa 116 North Grand Avenue East, A1 Spa 509 North Dawson Street, and Healthy Spa 613 North 7th Street. Another business that Fraase is associated with, Seven Carpenters LLC, owns parcels upon which 3 of the massage parlors sit. A confidential source working with the Springfield Police Department visited 4 of the sites on January 3rd, requesting legal massages, but was offered sexual services at 3. The source was offered a hand job for $40 and oral sex for $100 at Cozy Cabin Spa, a hand job for $60 and sex for $260 at Healthy Spa, and a hand job for $60 and oral sex for $60 at Jade Spa, according to the document. I'm willing to bet many people probably went to the Jade Spa quite often because that was the more reasonably priced one, at least for the oral sex part. The source wasn't offered sexual services at Capital Spa, but during an FBI raid of the establishment on February 8th, agents found condoms, more than $1,700 in cash, and Mandarin instructions on how to communicate sexual services to customers, the document said. When FBI agents raided all 6 sites that day, they found large amounts of U.S. currency secreted throughout the locations. Women who were dressed in lingerie or were otherwise scantily clad, large amounts of condoms, both used and unused, and other indicia of sexual services taking place at the locations. That was one wild and interesting story right there, and this guy had a whole hustling scheme going on. This man, 60 years old, was making almost $100,000 a year from his job, but he said it wasn't enough, and ended up running 6 brothels, basically. That's basically what you want to call it. 6 brothels, where they were racking in $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month at least, which means they were getting a lot of service from a lot of people, and it's been going on since 2020, and they said that they've made at least or around or slightly more than $800,000. So you can imagine that if he had never gotten caught, they probably would have reached the $1 million mark most likely by the end of this year, because they just caught him in February, well, back in like January. That's when it pretty much got all exposed, back in January. So if he was able to keep this going, they probably would have cracked $1 million by the end of the year. And he's probably pissed about that, because like, damn, we almost became millionaires. But what get me is the fact that his job did not fire him. They said he's still on the payroll at this job where he was making almost $100,000 a year, but they have all of this stuff on him and they still have him on the payroll. Now the thing is he still being paid? Because he could still be, attached to the job, but he may not be making any money. Which either way, again, he shouldn't be attached to that job, because like, do you really want someone who is running something like this attached to your job like that? Probably, most likely not. It's not like the guy had a secret OnlyFans account somewhere, and that's just something that he just kept private. No, this guy was running 6 brothels, and we all know that what he was running was most likely very, very illegal. But because he had the connections, he was able to get the locations and get those spots. And apparently business was booming because, again, $800,000 over the last 4 years. $30,000 a month. While he's making almost $100,000 a year from his regular job. It's not like he was really hurting, but he just said he needed another side. He just needed a side hustle, and this was what he decided to come up with. But again, look at who the women were that they got to participate. Asian women. Now, I would like to know from the AA. I know we run this into the ground. What do y'all have to say about this story right here? Do you even know that this story exists? Because let this have been a black man running this, we already know what the headlines would have said. First off, it would have been headlines. This story is regulated to this website called IllinoisTimes.com. So who knows how far it'll actually go.